guys, this is Stephanie from milkshed.com, and I had a lot of fun doing the last video. So I was trying to think of ways to try and do one maybe every other week or so that we didn't have to wait a month between when I get my Fiberista Club subscriptions. So we'll call this like a coffee chat or something similar. I don't have a specific plan, but I thought we could talk about some yarns, run through some projects that I'm working on, and see how it goes, and if we like it, maybe I'll keep doing these. I came straight from work, literally wearing the same thing that I wear to work every single day. I have like 8 of the exact same t-shirt that I wear all the time. It's kind of like my uniform. No makeup, glasses on, hair up, but we'll survive, I think. So I just have a bunch of stuff laid out next to me. I'm going to kind of run through them one by one, and we'll just see how long this ends up being. So first up, in my last video, I mentioned that buffalo wool company that my mom subscribed to, and she said she was going to give it to me, even though I didn't give her my Fiberista Club subscription. And here it is. I think that, I'm looking at the screen, I think that the color is coming across really well. It's like this beautiful Kelly green. Here is the tag for the buffalo wool company. I'm reading this tag really quickly. It's a 90% superwash merino, 10% bison down, sock weight 400 yards, and it says, from the downy undercoat of the American bison comes surprisingly soft, seriously strong fiber we call buffalo gold. They are an American company. They're located in Texas. If you want to check it out on the web, it says the Buffalo Wool Co, just co.com. The color is charming green, which makes sense. Charming. It's like a 4-leaf clover, kind of. That's a pretty good color representation. So my plan here, definitely socks. I'm sure that that's what I'm going to do with it. I've gotten really into socks. I talked on the blog a little bit about how I wanted to try a bunch of different sock construction types. So I don't know exactly which one I'm going to do, but that's what I'm going to do with this. I was reading a little bit more about the wool on their website, and I think that it creates a little bit of a halo, which usually doesn't happen with a lot of the products that I'm working with. So I'm very excited to try this out, and yeah, I'm excited that she gave it to me. So the next thing I mentioned in my last video, when I got my Fiberista Club yarn, which incidentally is still sitting right there. Should probably put that away so nothing happens to it. I mentioned Picks Hawthorne, which had that similar dusty rose tone in it. I did show this one on the blog. This is the Picks Hawthorne fingering. Here is, ooh, you can see how many different colors are in here. This is actually more of like a, almost like a little blue purple, a lot of dusty rose. So I decided, I was going back and forth about what I was going to do for my new Follow Your Arrow 2 shawl, and I decided to use this, and I did talk about it a little bit. I am really, really, really happy with this yarn. You know, Knit Picks is, I don't want to say that it's budget yarn because it's quite nice, but it's well priced, and I never, if I consider like tiers, it's not just an economy yarn, it's much nicer than that, but I wouldn't consider it like a super premium yarn, and this stuff I have been really happy with. So since I mentioned Follow Your Arrow, I will show that. Here is the yarn all in the cake. You can see all the different colors. I'm doing like a center pull, so it's getting a little loose here. I am finished with my first 2 clues for Follow Your Arrow, and I would say I am maybe halfway through the first skein, this first cake right here. So here is the shawl. I did show pictures of clue 1 and clue 2. Oh, maybe not 2 yet. I have that scheduled for Monday. I guess I did finish clue 2, so you'll see that here. So my favorite thing, I was talking with a buddy of mine who comments on the blog. She has her own blog, and I was saying that one of my favorite parts about these Follow Your Arrow projects are that I always learn something new. You know, the first one essentially taught me how to knit lace. And this one, so this is our, I'm going to hold it up. I'm playing with it. This is where we started. And this is like, I guess you would call it a picot edge. I can hear my cat crying on the other side of the door. Hopefully that doesn't come across the video. So I just did mine on double pointed needles because it wasn't really worth working on a cable because we just went back and forth, back and forth. It was like 5 or 6 stitches. We got this really long edge that you can see here with this texture that is, it's probably, this long is what we started with, and then we picked up a bunch of stitches, and then we did short rows that went back and forth on this center section. I like wrap, let me think, shadow wrap short rows are what I prefer, and that's what I did here, and I think that it's covering up them pretty well. So we did back and forth, back and forth. That was the end of clue 1 for me, the choice that I made. For clue 2, I'm going to hold it upside down because then maybe I can show you a little better. So a totally new technique for me is that we held the yarn to the, it's not the front, on some of it's the front, I guess it's the right side, to create kind of an intentional float like you would have with Fair Isle color work to make these shapes. Hopefully you can see that. There's like one that's somewhere down here and then the bigger one here. Because my yarn has a bunch of different colors in it, I don't think that they're coming out super well right now, but I do have a lot of hope that they're going to come out really well once we do blocking. So, totally new technique for me. That's great. I just love how it's always different, and it's something that I wouldn't have tried before. So you can see the color range that Hawthorne has. This color is a little more purple than something I would normally choose, but I'm really happy with it. I really like the way that Hawthorne is knitting up. Honestly, just great things to say about it. I did buy that yarn during the Knit Picks big sale somewhere around, I think it was Black Friday. So I think I got those 2 skeins for something like $11, which is, it's going to make the entire shawl and then give me a lot left over, which is amazing. I think that's amazing. I'm very, very excited about it. I will definitely be buying more Hawthorne, and I cannot suggest it highly enough. The other thing that I wanted to talk about with Follow Your Arrow is I get a lot of comments about what I'm a great knitter, or things seeming so easy for me. And I heard this quote recently, I wish I could remember who it was from, that, you know, essentially said that they weren't a particularly talented knitter, they just worked at their craft. And that is definitely what I think. I work at knitting a lot. I knit probably every day or close to it, as much as my schedule possibly allows. And even then, this Follow Your Arrow and my previous Follow Your Arrow are not without their hiccups. So the biggest lesson that I learned from the first one is to make a lifeline after every section, because in my first one I ended up making a mistake in the lace, and I now realize why I made it. And I didn't want to tear back because I was just way too nervous about it, and I still know where that mistake is, and it drives me crazy. So on this one, I put a lifeline in after that first section, and what do you know? I ended up needing it. So I guess this is confession mode. This is so embarrassing. I didn't realize that lace charts are read like right to left and left to right, depending on whether you're on the right or the wrong row. I always just read them right to left. Boom. And I guess I was always lucky enough to be working on symmetrical lace charts. And this time around, I got not too far in, luckily, and my stitch count was off, and I was just ready to throw this thing aside, be done with it. I had no interest. And then I went over to the Ravelry group, and I was reading a comment, and somebody asked how you read lace charts, and they said that you either read it one way or the other way, and I was like, whoa, how did I not know this? I ended up tearing back to that lifeline, and I figured it out. So I learn new things all the time too. No shame there, because I just admitted it to all you guys that I don't know how to read lace charts. So you'll see this right here. You see that? That's my lifeline. Now when we go to clue 3, I can tear back if I need to. It happens to the best of us. So these are so fun. I love it. I don't have a group of local knitters that I can work with. So doing this real time and being able to participate in like the groups on Ravelry and see all the updates on Instagram has just been a lot of fun for me. It's almost like I have a little group of knitters that I could work with, and I love that. So nothing but good things to say there. So next up, I have posted this on the blog a little bit. I have a wedding coming up this summer that I'm a bridesmaids in, and I wanted to make some kind of like shrug wrap shawl. I don't know what you want to call it. A little more than a or a little less than a cardigan, a little more than a wrap. And I got Knit Picks palette. I don't have one with a label on, but this is the palette that I got. It is fingering weight. It is, I believe, don't quote me, 100% wool. It's not super soft, but I like that it has a little stickiness and texture to it. I think that's going to make it a little more hard wearing. And this is the start. This is a sleeve. And then we go to this nice lace pattern. Hopefully you can see it there. So the way that this works, this is a free pattern that I found on Ravelry, is that you start at one cuff, you cast on over here, you do your ribbing for your cuff, you increase for the sleeve, and then we knit all the way across the back, decrease back down, and make another cuff. And I think that this texture is lovely. I like the way that the yarn's knitting up, but I'm just not into it. I'm not into it at all. It's not keeping my attention. It's a little too monotonous, I think. And I was hoping that I could balance the difficulty of the follow your arrow with the simplicity of this, and maybe that would be kind of well-rounded. It's just not doing it for me. And I realized that I was coming up with all these reasons to work on other things and not to work on the project. And I started thinking, like, you know, I am on my second ball already, so I've gotten quite a few yards already into this. I'm just not into it. I decided to set it aside, and I went on Ravelry looking for a different pattern that might be a little more exciting, and I found this pattern called Conic. If you read the blog at all, you know that I don't really buy patterns, and that has nothing to do with the pattern itself. It's more about me. Whenever I get a pattern, even with this one that I just showed, I can't just leave well enough alone. I end up wanting to like reverse engineer how it's put together, how to change something to suit my either body or my yarn. All the time I will swap in a totally different yarn weight that's like nowhere close to what's called for. So I look at patterns as a little more of maybe like an inspiration. Something is like a jumping off point to get me started. So to find a pattern that I am prepared to just follow and pay good money for is rare. I very rarely do it. I do it with the Follow Your Arrow 1 and 2, and I may have maybe one other pattern that I've ever paid for in my life, and that has still brought me to where I am with my knitting. So I found this pattern, and I was just I'm going to pause for a second because I will insert a picture right here. Okay, hopefully I did that. Okay, so the pattern is called Conic, and it makes this lovely, you could just see like slouchy, but with a little texture, kind of like a shrug cardigan. And I've seen some people modify it a little bit, so it wraps a little further around and they put like a big button. And then I've seen some that did more ribbing, so it can actually fold and make a collar. And I saw this, very, very, very excited about it. It still calls for fingering weight, which means I can use that palette. So I started on it. And this is funny. I'll show you this. I keep all my projects as I'm working on them in like a big bowl. I guess that's kind of weird, but it keeps first of all, I have 2 German Shepherds and a cat that's hopefully not still crying on the other side of the gate. It keeps them away from what I'm working on. And then the other thing is if I didn't wind a cake like this, which is a center pull, it lets that yarn ball just kind of bounce around without getting nasty stuff in it, picking anything up. It doesn't roll away from me on the couch, and it's really portable. So I can work on it on the couch, work on it on the love seat, take it to my office. That's what I do. It's kind of weird, I guess, but it works well for me. So I went ahead and just set that other one aside, and I figured like maybe we'll come back to it, maybe we won't. So I started a new ball palette. I ended up getting 10 of these, I think, at 230 yards a piece. So I got a ton of yarn to work with, definitely more that I'm going to need. And this, it's very small right now, but hopefully I can show you without having it come off the needles. This is the texture that we're doing. So this is a really, I don't want to give too much away because it is a purchase pattern, and it is definitely worth the price. I think it cost me $6.50, worth every penny. Very excited about it. If I can find more patterns of this quality, I will certainly buy patterns. Some of them are absolutely worth it. So the basic idea is that you start with this cast on edge. This is your back panel. And I actually think it might go that way on the finished piece. So you knit this back panel and you go from large and then you decrease down and then you knit and then you increase. And then I think we pick up and we knit 2 sleeves. That's what's going to happen. I'm really liking this so far. And talking about learning new techniques, this little, I won't give away what it is, but this little beveled shape, very interesting. I like the way that it's done. This has been engaging enough that I don't want to give up on it, because, you know, I got a lot of knitting ahead of me to make a suitable size cardigan in fingering weight yarn on, I think these are, this isn't interchangeable, so it's I have fixed size 2 and 3. This is probably a 4. I have a lot of knitting ahead of me, and I'm very excited about it. So I will keep you guys posted on that. It's probably going to be a while before I make much progress. My friend, it looks like some wedding plans have changed for the good. It's not a bad thing at all, and I might not need a bridesmaid outfit after all, which that's okay, no big deal. So I think I'm still going to make this for me. It suits my like general wardrobe. It's going to be hard wearing enough that I can, you know, we live in Wyoming. We own a power sports dealership, super casual, as evidenced by this. So hopefully this is something that serves me well and I can wear a lot, and I'm very excited about it. Let me try and figure out what else I have working here, because it's a lot, and we will wrap this up in just a little bit. So I think I've narrowed down that we're just going to talk about the one last project that I have working on. I know I kind of preach on the blog that I'm trying to do this like finish 2, start 1, but yes, I still am definitely doing that, but that's more in terms of like buying more. Like I tell myself that I have to finish 2 of something before I buy anything else, and since I really haven't made any purchases beyond my Fiberista Club subscription. Oh, that just reminded me of something else that I have to show. I'll get that after this. Something I did buy, so just kidding. This is a yarn that I've had for a while. I showed it, I think I got it on my birthday last year. We went to a local yarn shop in Casper, Wyoming, and I can never say this brand right, so don't make fun of me. It's Malabrigo, I guess is how you would say it. And I think that the yarn is called Rastita. It is a, oh, I wish I had the label to tell you. I know it's knit. It's almost like a light worsted, maybe like a sport. Don't quote me. I'm going to sound really silly. You knit it on a 6 to a 7. I'm doing a 7 because I do knit quite tight. I'll show you it in cake form. How beautiful, so beautiful. Lots of purples and pinky purple and a blue. You could see some blues there. Very, very excited. This has been kind of haunting me. I considered doing my Follow Your Arrow 2 with this yarn, but it's definitely a heavier weight than what is called for. And I thought I had some other projects in mind, so I wasn't ready to jump in on this. So last night I'm recording this Friday. I don't know when it's going to go up. So last night, meaning Thursday of this week, I decided that I had to write a pattern. I just had to, and release it. Of course it will be free because I don't create anything high quality enough to be charging money for it. So I have, it's going to be a cowl. If you don't follow me on Instagram right now, I post a ton of project or progress photos on there. So I did post a progress photo of the motif that I'm thinking about using for the cowl. So this is just a quick look at, it's actually a lot of stitches. I have them crunched up on this short needle because I kind of prefer it that way. I like to have a lot of, I like to have them like right next to each other so I don't get any like weird ladders or jogs, and I don't know, it works well for me even if it doesn't really make sense. So you can see a little bit how this is knitting up, and it is just, how beautiful is that? I love it. I love this blue in here, especially because I claim I'm not a purple person, but we're seeing a lot of purple, and maybe I am after all. Yeah, so this is going to be a cowl. It's going to have like kind of a cool pattern, super simple, and I don't know honestly how long it's going to take me to finish because I'm doing this along with the Follow Your Arrow and that other shawl So I just got a lot going on right now. One final pause, and I'm going to get the last thing that I wanted to show. So one second. Okay, I'm back. I just had to go over to my bookcase and get some stuff, and I didn't want to show me like getting up and looking around, digging through a bunch of stuff. So the last thing, and I did show this in my January yarn purchases roundup, where I'm trying to keep track of all the spending that I've been doing to stop myself from just buying a ton of stuff. And I honestly think it is helping. So I always have that in mind, like, do I really want to tell people I bought this? So my last purchase, which I want to show on camera just because it is so beautiful. This is Tanis Fiber Arts. This is, I mean, it's still the same, but that's a cute little thing that was included with it. I included her year in color as part of my yarn club roundup. And afterwards, I started following her on Instagram. She posts beautiful photos all the time. And she posted about this Etsy sale that was going to be on Boxing Day, so the day after Christmas. And she warned people, like, this stuff sells fast. As far as I understand, it is kind of like one-offs. Maybe they were seconds, things that weren't considered, I don't want to say good enough because my stuff is beautiful. For some reason, we're either outside of spec, maybe for her standard colors, or they were just more of experiments, leftovers. I'm not really sure what constitutes this sale, but it was on Etsy. She said that stuff sells out fast, and I was thinking, like, I don't need this kind of stress in my life. If I go there, like, first thing in the morning, I know I'm going to buy a ton of stuff I don't need. Let's just stay away from this. So because I'm following her on Instagram, she posted an update and said that there was a specific color that they still had plenty of. And I was like, okay, well, I'll try it out. I'll like check it really quickly. They still have something left. And I told myself if there was something amazing, one purchase. That's it. And one purchase doesn't mean like one shopping cart full of stuff. It means like one thing. And what I ended up picking, I saw this color. It's called Ravine. And this is like, when I talk about colors I like and colors I don't like, this is about as like perfectly up my alley as you could ever hope for. I hope it comes across on video. It is just beautiful. I think it's a little more blue on screen than it really is. It is, here we go, Ravine. The color right there. So if you aren't familiar with Tanis, she does, I think it's 10 different kinds of yarn, and they're all, you know, there's like orange label, blue label, purple label. This is the red label. And I talked about this a little bit on the blog, but one of my favorite things about having some limitations is that I was forced to go outside of my comfort zone a little bit. Normally I would pick, because I'm into socks right now, I probably would have picked something, where'd my buffalo go? I probably would have picked something like this in terms of the weight, you know, and the structure. In terms of the structure of the yarn, this is plied, durable, easy to work with. Instead, what I ended up with was 75% merino, 15% cashmere, and 10% silk. There are 420 yards per skein, and I bought 2 of them. It says needles are a US size 1. I don't even think I own a size 1. I have like maybe a 2 and a 3. So I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do here. This stuff is just incredible. I'm really, really excited about it. I'm really excited about the color. I was saying before that it comes across kind of blue. I think it's a little more, I wish I could find a way to convey the color properly. It's a little more green than what is showing here. It's like a really deep teal. It is delicate. It is a single ply, which I happen to love. I really like single ply, like, I don't want to say squishy because I don't like the ones that are super squishy and marshmallowy. This is just lovely. It has a little bit of sheen to it, which I'm usually not into at all. I don't buy anything with sheen on it anymore now that I realize it's not something I like. But this is just stunning. I have 2 things in mind for this. My lighting just changed. Maybe the color will look different now. No, it's still blue. So my first thought on this is that when I was in the Ravelry forums talking about the Follow Your Arrow 2, I realized there was this whole group for Follow Your Arrow 1 that I didn't participate in. So I started looking through there, and some people did some really smart modifications to that pattern. I actually, when I grabbed this, I grabbed my Follow Your Arrow 1 because it was on the shelf. So let me show you so you know what I'm talking about. So what they did, this is like section 1, and then I think 2, and then where would 3? I guess this is like 3, somewhere around here. I don't remember exactly where it goes. The point is that this lent itself well to doing repeats more than were called for. So instead of just doing like 1 repeat or 2 repeats maybe here, people were able to do 3, 4, 5 repeats and use up a ton of yardage and get these like really big, beautiful shawls. When I saw that, I was like, what? I didn't even know you could do that. So first of all, when I did this one, I was under yardage, so I did cut it short. So that edging is not the entire edge that is called for. And I had so much fun on this, and I already bought the pattern, and there are 5 clues. There are 2 options per clue, and it ends up with a lot of different configurations that you can have. So I started thinking like, maybe I should just do one of these again. So fun. It could look different. I could do multiple repeats and get something big, use up. I mean, this stuff is so nice. I want to use every single yard that I possibly can. So that was my first thought. It's still on my mind. I don't know. And then my other thought is there is this pattern called Henslowe that I have. I think I saw it on Pinterest. I pinned it. And then my same knitting buddy, she saw it. She's working on it right now. It's really beautiful. She loves the pattern. I love how it's coming along. I like seeing her progress on it. And then where else did I see it? A new blog that I'm following, which I'll link to below because I really like it, listed her patterns in her queue that she wants to get through hopefully in the year to come, and Henslowe was listed. So it's just on my mind a lot. It seems like it's not a new pattern by any means, but it seems like a lot of people are working on it. And I went in, I don't know how much you guys use Ravelry, but if you don't, you should. It's fantastic. And one of my new discoveries there, well, the general discovery was that I am flat out not using it in all the ways that I possibly could be. There's so much stuff there available. Maybe I'll post about like all the ways to take advantage of Ravelry because I really, really enjoy using it. So one of the things I discovered is that when you click on a pattern and you click on a detail, there is a little tab called Yarn Ideas. And what that does is it tells you what other people have when they've created a project from that pattern and updated it with details. It tells you what yarn they used. So I was looking at Henslowe and I was adding it to my queue, trying to be really efficient with the way I use Ravelry. And Tanis Fiber Arts Red Label was listed something like 20 times. Lots of people have used it. So beautiful. It's like I'm going to pause right now again to insert a picture of Henslowe so you can see how beautiful it is, and then you'll know what I'm talking about. So you can see from that picture, it's a pretty simple pattern, but I think that lends itself well to just letting the yarn shine. Really, really, really beautiful. And one skein of these is a perfect fit. So I could actually do 2 and then gift one. Either to the 2 people that I'm thinking of would be my mom or one of my sisters-in-law. I think this would be really perfect for her. And I have definitely shied away from doing holiday knitting because I think it puts, I put way too much pressure on myself. I create these really unrealistic deadlines. And instead of just making, you know, like 1 shawl, I decide I have to make 18 hats and 12 pairs of gloves and 7 scarves, 2 shawls, and some weaving because why not? It's horrible. I learned my lesson the first year when I wasn't even able to deliver all the presents that I had been working on. I think they're still sitting here haunting me, which is just horrible. I'm never going to promise that again. But I love knitting for other people, and I was thinking like, maybe I will just knit things throughout the year with recipients, that's the right word, in mind, and just give it to them when it's done. No more holiday pressure. So this could either become a very, very large follow your arrow one with a lot of modifications, or 2 twin Henslowe shawls, one for me, one for either my mom or my sister-in-law. So at this point, I think we are, oh, what just happened? Don't switch. I don't know what I just did, but I don't want to crop the video. This is way longer than I ever intended, but as usual, I have fun doing them. So I have more, but we'll just stop there. As always, thanks for listening. I love your feedback, and yeah, I guess bye-bye.